Welcome to Caveman Sleep Stories. If you're here tonight, you're probably looking for rest, something to quiet the endless thoughts and help you find sleep. We have so much now: technology, medicine, comfort beyond anything our ancestors could imagine. But there's a paradox we rarely examine. Despite all this progress, we're often tired, stressed, lonely, and sick with diseases that didn't exist for most of human history. Tonight, we're exploring a controversial idea that the so-called primitive cavemen actually lived better lives than we do in many measurable ways. How could people without hospitals be healthier? How could people without jobs have more free time? How could people without modern conveniences experience less chronic stress and more genuine satisfaction? We'll look at their working hours that shame our modern schedules, the diet that gave them perfect teeth and strong bones, the social bonds that prevented loneliness, the physical activity that kept them fit without trying, and the daily rhythms that brought deep rest. If you drift off while listening, that's exactly right. Consider subscribing if these stories help you rest, and there's a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description if you'd like to support this channel. A like helps others find these stories too. Now, settle in, get comfortable, and let's go back to a time when life was harder in some ways, but surprisingly better in others, when humans lived in alignment with their nature rather than fighting against it. The fire settles into steady coals. Outside, wind moves through grass that stretches beyond sight. Inside this shelter, bodies rest close, sharing warmth. Tomorrow will bring its tasks: tracking, gathering, tool repair. Tonight, there's only this: heat from embers, breathing that slows, the day's work finished hours ago. This is what 3 hours of daily labor provides. Not 3 hours of meetings, emails, commuting. 3 hours of actual survival work. The morning hunt succeeded. A deer tracked, brought down cleanly, butchered, and shared. 2 hours, start to finish. Yesterday was gathering day. Plants identified, roots dug, berries collected, enough for several days. Another 2 hours. Tomorrow, tool maintenance, sharpening points, checking bindings, preparing for the next hunt. Perhaps 90 minutes. The math is simple and honest. Survival tasks, done skillfully, require less time than modern humans spend at desks, in traffic, responding to messages that could wait. The rest of each day unfolds as it will. Children play near camp, watched by whoever's nearby. Adults talk, rest, work on projects that interest them. Someone's making a new basket, improving the weaving technique. Someone else carves a piece of bone into a needle, taking time to get the eye perfectly smooth. There's a hide that needs scraping. Not urgent, but better done well than rushed. These activities fill hours, but they're chosen, not mandated. No one tracks time. No one measures productivity. The work that matters, securing food, maintaining shelter, caring for each other, that work is finished. What remains is living. Modern humans work 8, 10, 12 hours daily, then commute, then handle household tasks, emails, obligations that stretch past midnight. The weekend arrives as recovery time, not leisure time. 2 days to prepare for 5 more days of depletion. This cycle continues for decades. Retirement comes, if it comes, when the body is worn and time feels shorter. The Paleolithic pattern is inverted. Work is intense, but brief. Leisure is the default state, not the reward. Every day contains more rest than labor, more choice than obligation. This isn't because life is easy. It's because survival tasks, done well, simply don't fill 10-hour days. The physical toll is real. Hunting demands explosive effort. Carrying loads builds muscle through necessity. Traveling miles daily conditions the cardiovascular system without trying. But this effort concentrates into short windows. A hunt might require 3 hours of intense tracking and 1 moment of explosive action. Then it's over. The successful hunter returns, meat is shared, and the rest of the day belongs to recovery. Gathering requires steady walking, bending, digging, carrying, hard work certainly, but it ends. When the bags are full, when enough has been collected, the work stops. There's no expectation to maximize yield, to gather more than needed, to compete for productivity metrics. Enough is enough. Then, rest. Bodies built by this pattern show the results in ways that modern fitness culture struggles to replicate. Bone density scans of Paleolithic remains reveal skeletons as robust at 60 as modern 30-year-olds who train regularly. Not from exercise programs or gym memberships, from living, from walking 8 to 12 miles most days across varied terrain, from carrying children, hauling meat, climbing for honey, digging for roots, from squatting to work, standing to scan horizons, running in short bursts when needed. Every natural human movement performed daily in the contexts they evolved for. The skeleton responds by building dense, strong bone. The muscles develop balanced, functional strength. The cardiovascular system maintains efficiency that modern humans achieve only through dedicated athletic training. This conditioning happens without intention, without thought. No one decides to exercise. Movement is simply how life unfolds. Need water? Walk to the stream. Need food? Walk to find it. Need firewood? Walk to collect it. Need to check on the neighboring band? Walk to visit them. The body moves constantly, but never repetitively. Office workers sit for 8 hours, then sometimes force themselves to run on treadmills. The same motion, repeated endlessly in artificial environments. Paleolithic movement varies continuously. Walking, but on uneven ground that requires constant small adjustments. Carrying, but loads that shift and require grip strength, core stability, balanced engagement. Climbing, reaching, pulling, pushing, the full range of human movement used daily, keeping every system active and responsive. The terrain itself provides the resistance training that modern humans pay gym memberships to access. A slope that rises steadily for half a mile works the legs and lungs as effectively as any stair climber machine. But with the addition of balance challenges, visual complexity, temperature variation, and the functional purpose of reaching a good gathering location or tracking game to higher ground, the modern gym isolates muscle groups, creates artificial resistance, removes context and purpose. The Paleolithic landscape integrates full-body effort into purposeful activity. You're not exercising, you're living. The fitness is a side effect of doing what needs doing. Watch someone carrying a freshly killed deer back to camp. The weight shifts constantly, requiring continuous small adjustments in grip, posture, step length. The shoulders engage, then the core stabilizes, then the legs drive forward, then balance corrects for uneven ground. This one activity, carrying meat home, works more muscle groups in more varied ways than most modern workout routines. And it happens multiple times per week, sometimes multiple times per day during good hunting periods. Add to this the digging that develops grip strength and shoulder endurance, the climbing that builds pulling strength and spatial awareness, the processing of hides that requires sustained arm and back work, the making of tools that demands fine motor control and hand strength. The cumulative effect is a body that's strong in all directions, capable in all positions, resilient to varied demands. The result appears most dramatically in old age. Modern humans at 60 often struggle with stairs, fear falling, lose bone density and muscle mass despite medical care. The decline seems inevitable, just part of aging. But Paleolithic humans at 60 Those who survived the dangers of childhood and avoided fatal injuries maintain physical capacity that seems impossible to modern eyes. They walk all day. They carry loads. They keep pace with younger adults. Their joints work smoothly because the movement has been varied and natural rather than repetitive and forced. Their backs stay strong because they've never spent decades hunched at desks. Their knees last because they've squatted thousands of times in the way human knees are designed to squat rather than sitting in chairs that atrophy the muscles that stabilize joints. The spine tells its own story. Modern spines show compression, degeneration, disc problems by middle age. The hours of sitting create pressure patterns the spine wasn't designed to handle continuously. Standing and walking distribute load naturally. Sitting concentrates pressure on specific vertebrae for hours daily, year after year. The discs compress unevenly. The supporting muscles weaken from disuse. By 50, many modern humans live with chronic back pain, take medications, modify activities to avoid triggering episodes. Paleolithic spines, examined in skeletal remains, show remarkable preservation even in older individuals. The varied movement keeps supporting muscles strong. The absence of prolonged sitting prevents the chronic compression that damages discs. The natural postures, squatting, kneeling, sitting cross-legged on ground, maintain flexibility and distribute pressure across the spine rather than concentrating it. The shoulders show similar patterns. Modern shoulders suffer from the chronic forward rotation that comes from desk work, driving, phone use. The chest muscles tighten, the upper back weakens, the shoulder joint loses proper positioning. Rotator cuff injuries become common. Frozen shoulder affects millions. These problems are nearly universal in modern populations past middle age. Paleolithic shoulders, shaped by throwing spears, climbing, carrying varied loads, pulling and lifting in multiple directions, maintain proper positioning and function. The muscles stay balanced. The joint tracks correctly. The full range of motion persists because it's used regularly. An older Paleolithic hunter can still throw a spear accurately because the shoulder works as it should, maintained by use rather than degraded by misuse. This maintained function allows older adults to remain fully contributing members rather than becoming dependent burdens. The 60-year-old hunter may not lead the long tracking hunts anymore, but he can still participate, still carry his share, still process the kill. The 60-year-old gatherer may move more slowly, but she knows more gathering locations, identifies more plant varieties, remembers more years of seasonal patterns. Her knowledge compensates for reduced physical capacity. She contributes differently but continues contributing meaningfully. There's no retirement age where she becomes economically useless. There's no transition to dependence where she stops mattering to community survival. She simply shifts gradually toward knowledge-sharing roles while continuing physical participation as able. The hands remain capable through age in ways modern hands often don't. Arthritis, that modern plague of aging joints, appears far less frequently and less severely in Paleolithic remains. Modern hands suffer from repetitive strain, typing, gripping tools the same way repeatedly, performing the same motions thousands of times daily. Paleolithic hands perform varied tasks. Making tools requires different grips and pressures than processing hides, which differs from gathering plants, which differs from preparing food. The variety keeps joints mobile and healthy. The strength requirements keep supporting structures robust. An elder's hands might lose some dexterity and strength, but they remain functional for most tasks because they've been used in varied, natural ways throughout life, rather than being locked into repetitive patterns that wear specific joints prematurely. The feet tell perhaps the most dramatic story of maintained function. Modern feet, shaped by shoes from childhood, often become weak, inflexible, prone to problems. The arch collapses without support. The toes lose independent movement. Balance deteriorates as feet stop providing sensory feedback about ground conditions. Paleolithic feet, bare or minimally covered, maintain strength and sensitivity throughout life. The arch stays strong because foot muscles work to support it rather than relying on shoe structure. The toes spread and grip, maintaining flexibility and strength. The sole develops thick, tough skin that protects while still allowing sensory input. Balance stays sharp because feet constantly read terrain and make micro adjustments. An older Paleolithic person navigates rough ground confidently because their feet work as evolved sensory and structural organs rather than as dependent appendages that require artificial support. This physical conditioning creates bodies that are not just strong but resilient. Modern humans who exercise regularly can build strength and endurance, certainly, but they often remain fragile, prone to injury when moving outside trained patterns, dependent on specific conditions, unable to transfer fitness to novel situations. Paleolithic fitness is generalized and practical. The strong body is also a capable body, adapted to varied demands, able to handle unexpected challenges. You can run when needed, but also climb, carry, fight, dig, throw. The strength comes with flexibility, balance, coordination, spatial awareness. The fitness is functional because it developed through function rather than through isolated training. This creates bodies that last longer and work better through varied circumstances. But perhaps even more striking than the skeletal strength is what sits atop that strong skull. Teeth that tell a story of perfect dietary alignment. This physical reality extends to something modern people rarely achieve: complete dental health through entire lifetimes. The mouth tells a story that skeletal remains preserve with perfect clarity. Paleolithic teeth show minimal cavities, minimal decay, healthy gums, even in individuals who lived 60 or 70 years, not because of dental care or fluoride treatments, because of what never entered the mouth. Sugar, in its refined form, doesn't exist in this world. No processed foods, no grain-based carbohydrates that break down into sugars, no dried fruits concentrated into candy-like sweetness. The diet consists of meat, organs, fresh plants, roots, occasional wild honey in small amounts. The bacteria that cause tooth decay, they need sugar to thrive. Without their fuel source, they remain minimal populations that cause minimal damage. Teeth stay strong not through intervention, but through the absence of the substance that destroys them. The difference is measurable and dramatic. Modern humans, even those who brush and floss religiously, lose teeth to decay. Root canals, crowns, bridges, implants. The dental industry exists because modern diet destroys dental health despite our best efforts at maintenance. Paleolithic humans who never brush, never floss, never see dentists, maintain healthy teeth through old age simply by eating the diet human teeth evolved to handle. Tough meat that requires chewing, fibrous plants that scrub surfaces, raw vegetables that exercise gums. The mechanical action of eating natural foods keeps teeth clean. The absence of sugar keeps them healthy. The result? People in their 60s with most or all of their teeth intact, functional, strong. This preservation matters beyond vanity or comfort. Tooth loss affects nutrition, which affects overall health. When you lose teeth, your ability to process tough foods diminishes. You shift towards softer, often less nutritious options. The dietary quality declines, which accelerates physical decline, which creates vulnerability to disease and injury. It's a cascade that starts with dental health and ends with systemic compromise. Paleolithic humans avoid this cascade entirely. Their teeth work properly until death. They can continue eating the tough, fibrous, nutritious foods that maintain their overall health. The diet that preserved their teeth continues supporting their bodies through their entire lifespan. Chronic dental infections, common in modern populations, drain the immune system and spread bacteria through the bloodstream. An infected tooth isn't just a local problem, it's a systemic threat. The bacteria enter circulation, potentially affecting the heart, joints, brain. The immune system must constantly fight the infection, depleting resources needed elsewhere. Modern medicine recognizes the connections between dental health and heart disease, between oral bacteria and systemic inflammation. Paleolithic humans avoid this burden entirely. Their teeth and gums remain healthy, not becoming sources of chronic infection that compromise overall health. Their immune systems focus on external threats rather than fighting internal battles against oral bacteria. The jaw itself tells part of this story in ways that reshape our understanding of human development. Modern humans suffer crowded teeth, impacted wisdom teeth, malocclusion requiring orthodontics, not genetic problems, dietary consequences. The tough, fibrous Paleolithic diet requires heavy chewing from childhood. This chewing stimulates jaw growth. The mechanical stress triggers bone development. The jaw develops to its full genetic potential, creating ample space for all teeth, including wisdom teeth. Modern children eat soft, processed foods that require minimal chewing. Their jaws underdevelop because the mechanical stimulus never arrives. The bones never receive the signal to grow to full size. The teeth, which follow genetic programming regardless of jaw size, arrive in a space too small to contain them. Result: crowding, impaction, pain, expensive orthodontic correction. The problem isn't the teeth, it's the jaw that never grew properly because the diet never demanded it. Watch a Paleolithic child eating, tearing meat from bone with front teeth, using jaw strength most modern children never develop, chewing tough root vegetables, working the molars intensely, exercising the entire temporomandibular system, gnawing on sinew and connective tissue, developing jaw muscles that modern children don't build because their food requires no real effort to consume. The jaw muscles work hard from early childhood. The bones respond by growing robust and large, creating the broad face and strong jaw that anthropologists recognize in Paleolithic skulls. By adolescence, the jaw is fully developed, broad and strong, ready to accommodate the wisdom teeth that will emerge in late teens or early 20s. Those teeth come in cleanly, fitting into prepared space, functioning as they should. No surgical extraction needed, no infection or pain. The wisdom teeth work as they evolve to work, grinding tough foods in the back of the mouth, extending the chewing surface, contributing to nutrition through the full human lifespan. The modern epidemic of impacted wisdom teeth is entirely preventable. It's a mismatch disease caused by the gap between how we're feeding our children and how children need to eat for proper development. Every child who needs wisdom teeth removed, every teenager who endures years of braces and retainers, every adult who suffers from TMJ disorders, they're experiencing the consequences of dietary change that occurred too rapidly for evolution to accommodate. Their genetics are programming for Paleolithic jaw development. Their diet is providing modern minimal chewing stimulus. The result is developmental mismatch expressed in painful, expensive dental problems that didn't exist for millions of years of human history. The bite itself works differently. Modern bites, even after orthodontic correction, often don't align properly. The teeth meet at awkward angles, creating uneven wear, jaw pain, grinding problems. Paleolithic bites, shaped by natural development and heavy use, align correctly, because form follows function. The teeth meet as they should, distributing chewing forces evenly, working efficiently, causing no pain or dysfunction. The entire oral system functions as an integrated unit rather than as a collection of parts that don't quite fit together properly. This creates not just healthy teeth, but comfortable chewing, efficient digestion, which starts with proper chewing, and absence of the chronic jaw pain that afflicts millions of modern humans. The saliva composition even differs based on diet. Modern high-carbohydrate diets create oral environments where acid-producing bacteria thrive, constantly etching away at enamel. Paleolithic diets create neutral or slightly alkaline oral environments where the bacteria that cause decay can't establish themselves successfully. The mouth maintains its own natural defenses when the diet supports them. Modern diet overwhelms those defenses, creating conditions where decay becomes inevitable despite heroic efforts at oral hygiene. It's not that modern humans don't care for their teeth well enough. It's that modern diet makes dental health nearly impossible to maintain without intensive intervention. This perfect dental health represents something larger, a body system working exactly as evolution designed it to work, without interference from foods that didn't exist during the millions of years that shaped human biology. The teeth are just one visible marker. The same principle extends through every system, creating health outcomes that modern medicine struggles to achieve despite sophisticated interventions. Consider what doesn't appear in Paleolithic remains. Evidence of type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, obesity, high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, many common cancers, autoimmune disorders, metabolic syndrome. These diseases of civilization earn their name honestly. They appear when humans adopt agriculture, increase when humans industrialize, explode when humans process foods into refined components that barely resemble their origins. In Paleolithic populations, they don't exist. Not rarely, not occasionally. They simply aren't present. The evidence comes from multiple converging sources. Skeletal remains show no arterial calcification, no bone changes associated with metabolic disorders, no markers of chronic inflammatory disease. Modern populations living traditional lifestyles, the Tsimane of Bolivia, the Hadza of Tanzania, various groups maintaining hunter-gatherer or horticultural patterns, show virtually zero incidence of these conditions when studied by medical researchers. Medical examinations find cardiovascular systems functioning like those of healthy 20-year-olds, even in individuals aged 50 or 60. No plaque buildup in arteries, no insulin resistance, no obesity, no hypertension. The diseases that kill most modern humans simply don't develop in bodies living traditional lifestyles. The reasons are multiple and interconnected, creating a web of causation that modern medicine is only beginning to untangle. The diet provides nutrient-dense foods without empty calories. Wild game low in total fat, but high in omega-3 fatty acids. Organ meats rich in vitamins and minerals. Varied plants providing fiber and micronutrients, and thousands of beneficial plant compounds. No processed sugars or refined carbohydrates that spike blood glucose and insulin. The body receives complete nutrition while maintaining stable blood sugar. Insulin sensitivity stays high because the pancreas never faces constant demands from high glycemic foods. The cardiovascular system stays clean because the diet provides minimal oxidized fats and no trans fats. The body composition remains lean because calorie intake naturally matches expenditure, and the calories come from foods that promote satiation rather than triggering endless hunger. The wild game that forms the protein foundation of the diet has dramatically different fat composition than modern meat. Wild animals move constantly, build lean muscle, develop fat stores that are minimal and metabolically different from domesticated animal fat. The meat is lean, the fat is high in omega-3s. The overall nutritional package supports human health rather than undermining it. Modern meat comes from animals that barely move, are fed grain instead of grass, develop fat stores that are larger and compositionally different. The modern steak contains more total fat, more saturated fat, dramatically less omega-3 fatty acids, different vitamin profiles. It's still called meat, but nutritionally it's a different food. Paleolithic humans eating wild game are consuming optimal protein and fat ratios. Modern humans eating feedlot beef are consuming a nutritionally inferior product that contributes to the diseases that wild game consumption prevented. The plant diversity creates nutritional resilience that modern diets can't match. Paleolithic humans consume hundreds of different plant species throughout the year. Each plant provides its own unique combination of nutrients, fiber types, beneficial compounds. The gut microbiome receives constant variety, supporting bacterial diversity that strengthens immune function and metabolic health. Modern humans eat perhaps 20 or 30 plant species regularly, many of them cultivated varieties bred for sweetness and size rather than nutritional density. The lack of diversity impoverishes the gut microbiome, reducing bacterial variety, weakening the immune system, contributing to the inflammatory conditions that underlie most chronic disease. The movement pattern reinforces metabolic health in ways that exercise alone can't replicate. Muscles that work daily stay sensitive to insulin, pulling glucose from the bloodstream efficiently without requiring large insulin releases. Body fat stays minimal because storage is pointless in a lifestyle where food gets consumed rather than hoarded, and because the constant movement makes fat accumulation difficult. The cardiovascular system maintains flexibility and responsiveness because it gets used regularly at various intensities. Gentle activity most of the time, moderate activity frequently, intense bursts occasionally. This pattern of varied intensity provides better cardiovascular conditioning than steady-state exercise alone. The heart and blood vessels stay elastic, responsive, efficient. The absence of chronic inflammation is perhaps the most crucial factor. Modern disease is fundamentally inflammatory disease. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, autoimmune conditions. They all involve chronic inflammation as either cause or consequence. The modern lifestyle promotes inflammation through multiple mechanisms: processed foods, sedentary behavior, chronic stress, environmental toxins, disrupted sleep, social isolation. Paleolithic lifestyle is naturally anti-inflammatory. Whole foods rich in anti-inflammatory compounds, constant movement that regulates inflammatory processes, acute stress followed by recovery rather than chronic stress, clean environment, natural sleep patterns, strong social bonds. The body exists in an anti-inflammatory state as default rather than fighting constant inflammatory assault. What this means for daily life quality goes beyond avoiding diagnosis with disease. It means energy that stays consistent through the day without crashes or spikes. Modern humans experience blood sugar roller coasters, afternoon fatigue that requires caffeine, energy swings tied to meal timing and food choices. They need stimulants to wake up, need more stimulants mid-afternoon, need relaxants to sleep. The artificial management of energy levels through substances becomes necessary because the natural energy regulation system is broken by diet and lifestyle. Paleolithic humans maintain steady energy because their metabolism runs on stable fuel. No crashes, no spikes, no desperate need for caffeine or sugar to maintain function. The body simply works smoothly, hour after hour, because it's receiving the inputs it evolved to process and responding with the stable energy output that proper metabolism provides. It means mental clarity that persists through the day without fog or fatigue. Modern humans often experience afternoon mental sluggishness, difficulty concentrating, memory problems. They attribute these to aging or stress, but often the cause is metabolic. The brain runs on glucose, but it works best when glucose supply is steady rather than wildly fluctuating. The high carbohydrate modern diet creates glucose and insulin spikes and crashes that affect brain function directly. The brain gets too much glucose, then too little, then too much again. Neurotransmitter production becomes erratic. Focus suffers. Mood destabilizes. Paleolithic metabol creates steady glucose supply that supports consistent brain function. Mental clarity stays sharp because the metabolic foundation supporting brain function remains stable. It means inflammation levels low enough that the body repairs itself effectively. Modern humans often wake feeling stiff and sore despite doing nothing obviously injurious. The chronic inflammation prevents efficient tissue repair. Minor damage accumulates because the healing processes can't keep up with the inflammatory burden. Paleolithic humans wake feeling recovered because the anti-inflammatory state allows effective overnight repair. The aches and pains that modern humans accept as normal simply don't develop when inflammation stays within healthy ranges. It means sleep that comes naturally and lasts properly. Modern humans struggle with insomnia, need medications or supplements, use devices and strategies to achieve what should be automatic. They blame stress or aging, but metabolic health affects sleep profoundly. Blood sugar instability can wake you at night. Chronic inflammation disrupts sleep architecture. Hormonal imbalances from metabolic dysfunction affect circadian rhythms. Paleolithic humans grow tired when darkness falls, sleep deeply through the night, wake naturally with dawn. No sleep disorders, no restless nights, no exhaustion, despite 8 hours in bed. The circadian rhythm functions perfectly because multiple factors support it. Darkness without artificial light, physical tiredness from daily movement, metabolic stability, low inflammation, appropriate cortisol patterns. The body knows when to sleep because all its systems are aligned with natural rhythms. The sleep itself unfolds in the pattern humans evolved with. Not one long, unbroken stretch, but a more flexible pattern that might include waking briefly in the night, resting quietly, returning to sleep. This biphasic or segmented sleep was normal for humans before artificial lighting changed everything. You sleep for several hours, wake naturally, rest quietly perhaps, talking softly with others who are also awake, then return to sleep for the remainder of the night. This pattern feels wrong to modern humans who expect to sleep straight through, but it's actually the natural human pattern. Paleolithic humans experience it without concern or anxiety. The waking period is restful, sometimes even pleasant. There's no panic about getting back to sleep, no clock watching, no fear that insufficient sleep will ruin tomorrow. The body's needs are being met. The sleep is restorative regardless of its exact structure. Bodies close together through the night provide additional benefits beyond temperature regulation. Not romantic pairing alone, the whole group, or most of it, sleeping in proximity. This communal rest provides psychological security that modern people rarely experience. Sleeping alone triggers ancient fears buried in brain structures older than conscious thought. The solitary sleeper faces threats without backup. Every sound might be danger. The nervous system maintains higher vigilance even during sleep, preventing the deepest, most restorative stages. The communal sleeper rests in safety. Someone is always aware, even in sleep. Sounds get noticed by someone. Dangers get detected early. The group responds together. This security allows deeper rest. The nervous system can fully relax because vigilance is shared. The body can commit to deep sleep because consciousness doesn't need to maintain watch. Modern humans sleeping alone in locked houses still maintain higher baseline anxiety during sleep than Paleolithic humans sleeping together in open shelters. The locked door doesn't provide what the present community provides: genuine, immediate, human protection. The breathing of other sleepers creates auditory rhythm that soothes rather than disturbs. Modern humans often need white noise machines or fans to mask the unsettling silence of sleeping alone. The complete quiet feels threatening to ancient parts of the brain that expect to hear the breathing of the group. In communal sleep, the soft sounds of others' breathing provide constant reassurance. You're not alone. The group surrounds you. All is well. This auditory backdrop helps maintain sleep rather than disrupting it. You wake if the breathing patterns change dramatically, which might signal group alarm about danger. But normal sleeping sounds create comforting rhythm that supports your own rest. The physical closeness provides temperature regulation that individual sleeping can't match. On cold nights, bodies press together, sharing warmth from the center outward. Those on the outside edges feel the cold more, but the center stays warm. Through the night, people unconsciously shift positions, rotating through the warmer center and cooler edges, ensuring everyone gets time in both zones. This natural system maintains comfortable temperature for the group without any individual staying too cold throughout the night. The heat pooling between bodies creates microclimate significantly warmer than the surrounding air. On warm nights, bodies spread out more, allowing air circulation, preventing overheating. The spacing adjusts naturally based on temperature needs. No thermostats, no electric blankets, no complicated systems. Just human bodies responding to temperature through proximity or separation, maintaining comfort through simple physical adjustment. Children sleep especially securely in this arrangement. They're never alone, never isolated, never vulnerable. Multiple adults surround them. Danger would have to get through adult perimeter to reach children at the center. This security allows children to sleep deeply without the separation anxiety that modern children often experience. There's no crying alone in separate rooms, no fear of being isolated in darkness, no trauma of forced independence before psychological readiness. The child sleeps touching parents or other adults, hearing community breathing, feeling total security. This creates different neural development, different stress responses, different base-level sense of security that persists through life. The child who always slept in protected proximity develops differently than the child forced into isolated sleeping, often displaying less anxiety, more secure attachment, better stress regulation. This communal structure extends through all aspects of life, creating social reality that modern humans recognize as missing but struggle to recreate. The Paleolithic band, typically 25 to 50 individuals, functions as the primary social unit. Everyone knows everyone, everyone matters, everyone contributes something. There are no strangers, no anonymous masses, no institutional interactions. Every relationship is personal, direct, face-to-face, maintained through daily contact. The mental health implications are profound and measurable. Modern humans suffer epidemic levels of loneliness, isolation, disconnection. Studies show that loneliness affects physical health as severely as smoking 15 cigarettes daily. Social isolation increases mortality risk by percentages that stun researchers. The effects aren't just psychological. Lonely people show elevated inflammation markers, compromised immune function, higher rates of cardiovascular disease, faster cognitive decline. The body physically deteriorates from lack of social connection. Modern society, despite providing more potential contacts than ever through technology, has created conditions where genuine connection becomes difficult or impossible for millions of people. Social media provides hundreds of shallow contacts, but leaves people feeling fundamentally alone. Cities contain millions, but individuals report having no close friends, no one to call in crisis, no one who truly knows them. The workplace offers colleagues but not community. Families scatter across continents, maintaining connection through brief calls and annual visits. The result? Humans living surrounded by other humans while feeling fundamentally alone. Depression, anxiety, existential emptiness. These conditions correlate strongly with social isolation. Paleolithic humans are never isolated, never lonely in the modern sense. Solitude is available when chosen. Walking alone to check traps, sitting apart to work on a project, taking time for personal reflection. But isolation, the unwanted state of being alone without choice, essentially doesn't exist. The band stays together most of the time. Members see each other daily, interact constantly, maintain bonds through continuous proximity. There's no need to schedule social time or maintain friendships through effort. The relationships simply exist, sustained by daily contact and mutual dependence. You don't have friends in the modern sense. You have band members, people you've known your entire life, who know you completely, whose survival is linked to yours, and vice versa. This dependence is crucial and fundamentally different from modern values. Modern humans value independence, self-sufficiency, not needing others. The ideal promoted through media and culture is the individual who handles everything alone, who requires nothing from community, who succeeds through personal effort without assistance. This ideal creates misery because it contradicts fundamental human nature. Humans evolved for interdependence. The Paleolithic band operates on this reality openly. Everyone needs everyone else. The successful hunter needs people to help carry and process the meat. One person alone can't transport a full deer carcass and can't preserve all the meat before it spoils. The gatherers need someone to watch children while they work, and someone to defend the camp while they're away. The toolmaker needs others to hunt while tools get made, and needs hunters to provide raw materials like bone and sinew. The elder needs younger adults to provide food and assistance. The younger adults need the elder's knowledge to hunt effectively and avoid dangerous mistakes. Dependence isn't weakness. It's the structure that keeps everyone alive and valued. Being needed provides profound psychological satisfaction that modern life often denies. Modern retirees suffer depression because they feel useless, suddenly irrelevant after decades of defined work role. Modern workers struggle with meaninglessness because they can't see how their work matters, can't trace direct connection between their daily tasks and any observable outcome. Modern parents burn out because they handle child rearing without adequate support, bearing weight that should distribute across community. The common thread: lack of genuine interdependence, absence of clear necessary role in others' survival and well-being. Paleolithic humans know exactly how they matter. The hunter matters because people eat what he catches. Without successful hunters, the band goes hungry. The impact is immediate, visible, undeniable. The gatherer matters because her knowledge prevents poisoning and maximizes nutritional variety. Without skilled gatherers, the diet becomes dangerous and limited. The elder matters because his memory contains survival information accumulated across decades. Without elders' knowledge, the band repeats mistakes and misses opportunities. The child matters because she represents continuity, the future of the band, the reason everyone works to maintain community across generations. Everyone has clear, obvious value that the group recognizes daily. This recognition doesn't require formal acknowledgement or praise. It's built into survival. The successful hunter shares meat and people eat. That's the recognition. The meat entering mouths, the satisfied expressions, the strengthened bodies. This is acknowledgement more powerful than any verbal praise. The skilled basket maker produces containers, and others use them to gather and store. The baskets enabling successful gathering, making life easier, functioning reliably. This is recognition. The watchful sentry notices approaching danger and alerts the group surviving because of his attention. This is value. No performance reviews, no awards, no anxiety about whether contributions are noticed. The contribution creates direct, visible results. The feedback is immediate and real. You don't wonder if your work matters. You see that it matters. The evidence presents itself daily in the survival and well-being of people you care about. Children in this system grow up surrounded by adults who all take responsibility for their well-being, not just parents, the entire band. A child wanders too close to the fire. Whoever's nearest intervenes, pulling the child back, explaining danger. A child needs food. Whoever has food shares, ensuring the child eats regardless of whether parents are present. A child wants to learn something. Whoever knows teaches, investing time in the child's development because that child's future competence matters to everyone's future survival. This multi-adult upbringing provides security that nuclear families, no matter how loving, cannot match. The child never depends solely on two people whose moods, energy levels, and knowledge might fluctuate. If parents are busy, injured, or simply having a difficult day, other adults step in seamlessly. The child experiences continuous care without gaps or lapses. No parent burnout. No stressed dyads trying to handle everything alone. No desperation of isolated caregivers who have no breaks, no support, no relief from constant demands. The load distributes across the community naturally. Everyone takes turns watching children. Everyone teaches what they know. Everyone provides discipline when necessary. Everyone offers comfort when children are hurt or upset. The parenting is shared because the outcomes are shared. A well-raised child becomes a capable adult who contributes to everyone's survival. A neglected or poorly taught child becomes a liability for the entire band. So everyone invests in all children, not from altruism but from practical recognition that children are communal future security, communal insurance against aging and injury, communal immortality in genetic and cultural sense. The learning environment this creates surpasses any formal education system. Children learn by watching multiple adults perform various skills in real contexts for genuine purposes. They see different hunting styles, different gathering techniques, different approaches to problem solving and conflict resolution. They observe how different adults handle similar situations, learning that there are multiple valid approaches to most challenges. They receive teaching from whoever's available and interested at any given moment. The best tracker teaches tracking by taking interested children along, showing them signs, explaining meanings, letting them practice identification. The best flint knapper teaches stoneworking by allowing children to watch, try with guidance, learn through doing with immediate feedback when technique succeeds or fails. The best storyteller teaches history and social rules through narrative, embedding survival knowledge and cultural values in memorable stories that children request repeatedly, internalizing lessons through repetition and emotional engagement. Children absorb knowledge from many sources, developing broad competence rather than narrow specialization. By adolescence, they understand everything necessary for survival because they've watched and practiced with expert guidance from multiple teachers who invested in their development because the child's competence matters to everyone's survival. The teaching isn't abstract or theoretical. Every lesson applies to tasks the child will perform soon, often that same day or week. Learn to identify this plant because you'll gather it tomorrow. Learn to read these tracks because you'll help with the hunt next week. Learn to make this knot because you'll need it to secure loads you'll carry. The relevance is immediate. The motivation is intrinsic. Learning well means surviving well, contributing well, being valued by community. This educational system produces adults with remarkable skill breadth. Modern education creates specialists who know one thing deeply but struggle outside their expertise. Ask a software engineer to identify edible plants, and they're helpless. Ask a doctor to track animals, and they're lost. Ask an accountant to make fire without matches, and they can't. The specialization creates dependence and fragility. Paleolithic education creates generalists who understand the full range of survival tasks. Every adult can hunt at least adequately, gather effectively, make basic tools, maintain fire, prepare food, construct shelter, navigate terrain, read weather, identify plants, track animals, treat common injuries. The depth varies by interest and aptitude. Some become exceptional hunters through dedication and natural talent. Others excel at plant knowledge through keen observation and memory. Others develop extraordinary tracking ability through visual acuity and pattern recognition. But everyone maintains broad competence. This versatility provides security at both individual and group level. If the best hunter is injured, others can hunt adequately. If the primary plant expert dies, her knowledge isn't entirely lost because others learned from her, absorbed much of her information, can carry forward most of her expertise. The teaching happens naturally, embedded in daily activity rather than segregated into special instruction time. A child accompanies adults on gathering trips, learning through observation and practice rather than through lecture. Watch which plants get collected, which get avoided, which get sampled cautiously, which get ignored completely. Learn the locations, the seasons, the soil types where each species thrives. Notice the identification markers, leaf shape, stem texture, root structure, smell. Try gathering yourself with immediate feedback when you choose correctly or make mistakes. The elder corrects, "Not that one. The leaves are slightly different, see? This plant will make you sick. This one beside it with rounder leaves is what we want." The lesson is concrete, immediate, relevant. The child remembers because the difference matters practically, and because the teaching happens in context, attached to real plants in real locations with real consequences. The gathering trip teaches more than plant identification. You learn to read terrain, predicting where certain plants will grow based on slope, sun exposure, moisture. You learn to move efficiently through landscape, choosing paths that minimize effort while maximizing coverage of productive areas. You learn to watch for animal signs, staying aware of potential dangers while focused on gathering. You learn to carry loads efficiently, distributing weight properly to avoid fatigue and injury. You learn social skills, conversing with gathering companions, resolving disagreements about which direction to go, sharing discoveries of productive locations. One gathering trip provides lessons in botany, ecology, geography, physics, social dynamics, risk assessment, all integrated naturally, all applied immediately, all retained because they're useful constantly. By 20, the Paleolithic young adult reads landscapes as fluently as modern humans read text. Every plant, every stone, every slope tells a story. The subtle color difference in vegetation indicates water nearby. The way grass bends shows wind patterns that predict weather. The bird behavior signals predator presence or absence. The soil composition suggests which plants will be found, which animals might frequent the area. The young adult navigates confidently through unfamiliar terrain because the principles of landscape reading apply everywhere. By 40, environmental knowledge is encyclopedic. The adult knows thousands of plant species, hundreds of animal patterns, countless environmental indicators. The knowledge keeps expanding because every day provides new observations, new confirmations of patterns, new exceptions that refine understanding. By 60, the elder is the person people consult about subtle indicators others might miss, about rare events observed decades ago, about cause and effect relationships that only reveal themselves across many years of observation. This same pattern of maintained function through continuous use applies to physical capability in ways that reshape our understanding of aging. Modern humans accept decline as inevitable, even natural. Strength peaks in youth, then diminishes steadily. Flexibility reduces with age. Balance becomes unstable. Movement becomes limited, painful, fearful. By 60, many modern humans struggle with activities that were effortless at 30, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, getting up from the floor, reaching overhead. The decline seems natural, unavoidable, just part of aging that must be accepted. But extensive research on traditional populations and skeletal analysis suggests otherwise. It's not age alone, it's disuse combined with lifestyle factors that accelerate decline far beyond what aging itself requires. Paleolithic humans maintain physical function through continuous use. The 60-year-old still walks miles daily because travel is how you get places, still carries loads because possessions and resources must move with you, still performs the full range of human movement because daily life requires these capabilities. The body responds to ongoing demand by maintaining capacity. Muscles don't atrophy when they're used regularly, even if used less intensely than in youth. Joints don't stiffen when they move through full range daily. Balance doesn't deteriorate when you navigate uneven terrain constantly, forcing continuous small corrections. The cardiovascular system doesn't weaken dramatically when it gets steady, moderate activity. Flexibility persists when you squat, reach, climb, bend as part of normal life rather than sitting in chairs that lock hips and knees in limited positions. The 60-year-old Paleolithic human has lost some peak capacity compared to their 30-year-old self. Recovery takes longer after exertion, maximum strength is reduced, endurance decreases slightly, injuries take longer to heal. But the decline is modest, gradual, manageable because the body never stopped being used fully. Modern decline is steeper and faster because modern life removes physical demand systematically. The office worker sits 8 hours daily, using minimal muscle groups in limited ranges. Stairs are avoided for elevators. Walking is minimized through cars and public transit. Carrying is reduced through carts, delivery services, convenience. Reaching and climbing are unnecessary when everything is accessible at convenient heights or with assistive devices. The body responds to lack of demand by reducing capacity. Why maintain muscle and bone that's not being used? Why keep joints flexible when they move through only small ranges? Why preserve cardiovascular capacity when heart rate rarely elevates? The body is efficient, allocating resources where needed and withholding them where not. The modern sedentary lifestyle signals the body that physical capacity isn't needed. The body obligingly reduces capacity. By 60, decades of disuse have created bodies that can barely perform movements they once did easily. The capacity atrophied from lack of use, not from age itself. Then medication and medical intervention try to compensate for what was lost through lifestyle choices. Physical therapy tries to restore movement patterns that should never have been lost. Pharmaceuticals try to manage diseases that result partly from physical decline. The approach treats symptoms rather than addressing root cause. Bodies unused become unusable. The Paleolithic pattern proves an alternative exists. Keep using the body fully, and it keeps working adequately through much of life. The decline is gradual rather than precipitous because demand remains relatively constant. The 60-year-old can't run as fast or as far as at 20, but can still run when needed. Can't carry as much, but can still carry meaningful loads. Can't climb as easily, but can still climb to gather or to reach better views. The maintained function allows continued participation, continued contribution, continued independence. There's no sudden transition to dependence, no crisis point where the body fails and assistance becomes necessary. The decline is gentle enough that people adapt gradually, shifting activities and contributions as capacity changes, maintaining roles and purpose through the process. The hands remain capable through age in ways modern hands often don't, particularly in fine motor control and strength. Arthritis, that modern plague of aging joints, appears far less frequently and less severely in Paleolithic remains. When it does appear, it's typically related to old injuries rather than to systemic inflammatory disease. Modern hands suffer from multiple sources of decline: repetitive strain from typing, gripping tools the same way repeatedly, performing the same motions thousands of times daily, systemic inflammation from diet and lifestyle, disuse of certain grips and movements, lack of varied strength demands. Paleolithic hands perform varied tasks throughout life. Making tools requires different grips and pressures than processing hides, which differs from gathering plants, which differs from preparing food, which differs from carrying loads. The variety keeps joints mobile and healthy. The regular strength requirements keep supporting structures robust. The full-range movements maintain flexibility. An elder's hands might lose some dexterity and strength, but they remain functional for most tasks because they've been used in varied, natural ways throughout life rather than being locked into repetitive patterns that wear specific joints prematurely while allowing others to weaken from disuse. The feet tell perhaps the most dramatic story of maintained function versus designed-in weakness. Modern feet, shaped by shoes from childhood, often become weak, inflexible, prone to problems. The arch collapses without external support. The toes lose independent movement, fusing into a block that no longer grips or spreads. Balance deteriorates as feet stop providing detailed sensory feedback about ground conditions. Proprioception, the sense of body position in space, degrades when feet can't feel terrain. Ankle strength diminishes because shoes provide stability that ankle muscles should supply. The foot becomes dependent, incapable of functioning naturally without artificial support. Paleolithic feet, bare or minimally covered, maintain strength and sensitivity throughout life. The arch stays strong because foot muscles work constantly to support it rather than relying on shoe structure. The toes spread and grip, maintaining flexibility and independent strength that allow adaptation to varied terrain. The sole develops thick, tough skin that protects while still allowing sensory input. The thousands of nerve endings in the sole remain active, constantly reading ground conditions, feeding information to brain about terrain, texture, stability. Balance stays sharp because feet constantly make micro-adjustments based on sensory feedback. An older Paleolithic person navigates rough ground confidently because their feet work as evolved sensory and structural organs rather than as dependent appendages that require artificial support. This physical conditioning creates bodies that are not just strong but resilient, capable of withstanding varied stresses and recovering from challenges. Modern humans who exercise regularly can build strength and endurance, certainly. Dedicated training produces impressive results. But trained bodies often remain fragile in unexpected ways, prone to injury when moving outside trained patterns, dependent on specific conditions and equipment, unable to transfer fitness to novel situations. The marathon runner might have incredible endurance but lack upper body strength. The power lifter might have immense strength but poor cardiovascular capacity. The yoga practitioner might have excellent flexibility but minimal explosive power. The specialization creates capabilities in some areas while leaving gaps in others. Paleolithic fitness is generalized and practical. The strong body is also a capable body, adapted to varied demands, able to handle unexpected challenges. You can run when needed, but also climb, carry, fight, dig, throw, pull, push. The strength comes with flexibility, balance, coordination, spatial awareness. The endurance includes capacity for both steady, moderate activity and explosive bursts. The fitness is functional because it developed through function rather than through isolated training. This creates bodies that last longer and work better through varied circumstances, bodies that remain capable across decades rather than peaking early and declining sharply. But perhaps even more striking than the skeletal strength and maintained physical function is what those strong jaws are chewing. Food that nourishes completely rather than merely filling. The quality of Paleolithic nutrition deserves deep examination because it represents perhaps the most dramatic difference between ancient and modern health outcomes. This isn't about paleo diet fads or trendy eating plans. This is about fundamental nutritional reality. What happens when humans eat foods their digestive systems evolved to process versus what happens when humans eat novel foods their bodies aren't equipped to handle? The wild game that forms the protein foundation of Paleolithic diet has dramatically different nutritional profiles than modern meat. Wild animals move constantly across varied terrain, build lean muscle through actual use, develop fat stores that are minimal and metabolically active rather than massive and inert. The meat is lean, but the fat that exists is rich in omega-3 fatty acids from the plants the animals consume. The muscle tissue is dense with minerals from the animal's natural diet. The organs, liver, heart, kidneys, brain, concentrate nutrients in forms that are maximally bioavailable. Modern meat comes from animals that barely move, confined to small spaces, fed grain instead of their natural diet, given antibiotics to prevent disease that would otherwise run rampant in crowded conditions. These animals develop fat stores that are large and compositionally different from wild animal fat. The modern steak contains more total fat, more saturated fat, dramatically less omega-3 fatty acids, different vitamin profiles, residues from antibiotics and hormones, inflammatory compounds from stressed animals. It's still called meat, but nutritionally it's substantially different food from wild game. Paleolithic humans eating wild game are consuming optimal protein and fat ratios that support health. Modern humans eating feedlot beef are consuming a nutritionally compromised product that contributes to inflammatory conditions and metabolic dysfunction. The organ meats deserve special attention because they represent nutritional density that modern diets largely abandon. Liver is nature's multivitamin, concentrating vitamin A, all the B vitamins, iron, copper, and numerous other nutrients in highly bioavailable forms. Heart is rich in CoQ10, an enzyme crucial for energy production that declines with age. Kidneys provide selenium and B vitamins. Brain tissue supplies omega-3 fatty acids in forms optimal for human brain function. Paleolithic humans consume organs readily, often preferentially, understanding through experience that these foods provide special benefits. The successful hunt leads to immediate consumption of liver, often eaten raw while still warm, providing nutrients in their most potent form. Modern humans discard organs or relegate them to pet food, losing access to the most nutritionally dense parts of animals. The shift from whole animal consumption to muscle meat only eating represents massive nutritional downgrade that contributes to deficiencies modern humans then try to address through supplements that don't replicate the bioavailability of nutrients from whole food sources. The plant diversity creates nutritional resilience and metabolic benefits that modern diets can't approach. Paleolithic humans consume hundreds of different plant species throughout the year, each season bringing different foods, each ecosystem providing unique options. Each plant provides its own combination of vitamins, minerals, fiber types, phytonutrients, beneficial compounds. The roots differ nutritionally from the leaves, differ from the seeds, differ from the fruits. The variety ensures that if one plant is low in a particular nutrient, others provide it. No single plant needs to be complete because the diet is inherently diverse. The gut microbiome receives constant variety, supporting bacterial diversity that strengthens immune function, improves metabolic health, produces beneficial compounds, protects against pathogens. Modern humans eat perhaps 20 or 30 plant species regularly, many of them cultivated varieties bred for sweetness, size, and shelf life, rather than nutritional density. The wild relatives of modern vegetables often contain several times more vitamins, minerals, and beneficial plant compounds than domesticated varieties. The lack of diversity impoverishes the gut microbiome, reducing bacterial variety, weakening immune function, eliminating beneficial metabolic effects of diverse plant compounds. The modern gut contains perhaps hundreds of bacterial species. The Paleolithic gut might contain thousands, creating a richer internal ecosystem with greater functional capacity. The fiber content and variety in Paleolithic diet creates digestive health that modern humans rarely achieve. Fiber isn't one thing. It's a category containing many different types of plant matter that affect digestion and health in various ways. Soluble fiber slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, feeds beneficial bacteria. Insoluble fiber speeds transit time, prevents constipation, reduces colon cancer risk. Resistant starch feeds bacteria in the colon, producing short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation and support metabolic health. Different plants provide different fiber types. The diverse Paleolithic diet provides all fiber types in abundance. Modern diet often provides minimal fiber, and what fiber exists comes from limited sources, often processed in ways that reduce effectiveness. The digestive consequences are dramatic. Paleolithic humans process food efficiently, eliminate regularly without difficulty, maintain healthy gut bacteria populations, avoid the inflammatory digestive conditions that afflict millions of modern humans. Modern digestive problems, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, chronic constipation, diverticulitis, are largely diseases of insufficient and insufficiently varied fiber intake combined with processed food consumption. The absence of processed foods means every calorie provides nutrients. Modern diet separates calories from nutrition through processing. White flour provides calories but minimal nutrients. The refining process strips away the fiber, vitamins, minerals, leaving pure starch. Sugar provides calories but zero nutrients. Pure energy without any supporting nutrients. Vegetable oils provide calories but promote inflammation. Processing damages fats, creating compounds that harm rather than nourish. The modern diet allows people to be simultaneously overfed and undernourished, consuming enough calories to become obese while remaining deficient in essential nutrients. Paleolithic diet makes this impossible. Every food provides nutrients along with energy. The meat provides complete protein plus vitamins and minerals. The plants provide carbohydrates plus fiber plus thousands of beneficial compounds. The organs provide concentrated nutrition. Even the occasional wild honey, while providing sugar, comes with enzymes, trace minerals, and compounds that support health. You can't separate empty calories from nutrition because processing doesn't exist to perform that separation. The seasonal variation creates metabolic flexibility that modern constant food availability eliminates. Paleolithic humans experience abundance and scarcity in natural cycles. Late summer brings fruit abundance. Consume heavily, store some fat, enjoy the temporary plenty. Winter brings scarcity. Draw on stored fat, reduce activity slightly, make food stretch. Spring brings new plant growth, fresh vegetables after winter monotony, nutritional renewal. Fall brings hunts that succeed or fail. Feast on successful days, go hungry on unsuccessful ones. The body learns metabolic flexibility, switching efficiently between burning dietary calories and burning stored fat, between fed and fasted states, between abundance and scarcity. This flexibility keeps insulin sensitivity high, prevents metabolic syndrome, maintains the metabolic health that allows lean body composition. Modern humans eat constantly, 3 meals plus snacks, food always available, blood sugar and insulin constantly elevated. The body never needs to burn stored fat because dietary calories are always arriving. Metabolic inflexibility develops. Insulin sensitivity declines. Fat storage increases while fat burning capacity decreases. The metabolic dysfunction underlies obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease. Paleolithic metabolism stays flexible and healthy because the natural environment imposes variation that exercises metabolic systems. The impact of this superior nutrition manifests in measurable health outcomes. Bone analysis reveals mineral density that modern humans achieve only through excellent diet and exercise. Tooth analysis shows enamel thick and strong, free from the deficiency diseases that thin modern enamel. Height, a clear marker of childhood nutrition, often exceeds modern averages in Paleolithic remains. The skeletal markers of stress and malnutrition that appear commonly in early agricultural populations are rare in Paleolithic remains. The body grew properly, developed fully, maintained itself well because nutrition supported all these processes. Modern humans, despite food abundance, often show nutritional deficiency because abundance doesn't equal quality. The overflowing supermarket offers calories, but often fails to provide complete nutrition. Paleolithic humans with far less food quantity achieve far better nutritional quality because every bite counts. Every food nourishes. This complete nutrition supports not just physical health but mental health in ways modern psychiatry is only beginning to understand. The brain requires specific nutrients to function properly. Omega-3 fatty acids for structure, B vitamins for neurotransmitter production, minerals like magnesium and zinc for enzymatic processes, amino acids from protein for building neurotransmitters. Deficiencies in any of these create dysfunction, mood problems, anxiety, cognitive difficulties, attention deficits. Modern diet often provides insufficient amounts of these crucial nutrients. Processed foods strip away nutrients. Modern agriculture produces foods with lower nutrient density than historical varieties. Omega-3 consumption has declined dramatically as fish consumption decreased and seed oil consumption increased. The brain struggles to function optimally on insufficient nutrition. Paleolithic diet provides optimal brain nutrition automatically. The wild fish and game supply omega-3s abundantly. The organ meats concentrate B vitamins. The varied plants provide minerals. The diet supports mental health nutritionally, preventing deficiency-driven mood and cognitive problems before they start. The gut-brain connection, increasingly recognized by modern medicine, functions optimally under Paleolithic dietary conditions. The gut microbiome produces neurotransmitters, communicates with the brain through the vagus nerve, influences mood and cognition through multiple mechanisms. A healthy, diverse microbiome supports mental health. A depleted, inflamed microbiome contributes to depression, anxiety, and cognitive dysfunction. Paleolithic diet creates the gut conditions that support beneficial bacteria, abundant fiber, diverse plant compounds, absence of processed foods that damage gut lining. The result is mental health that's supported by physical health, mood stability that comes from metabolic stability, cognitive clarity that reflects nutritional completeness. This nutritional foundation creates bodies and minds that work properly, not because of medical intervention, but because of appropriate inputs. The health isn't achieved through effort or expertise. It's automatic result of eating foods humans evolved to eat. The modern struggle to achieve health through diet reflects fundamental mismatch, trying to maintain health while eating foods that undermine health, then attempting to compensate through restriction, supplementation, medical intervention. The Paleolithic approach is simpler and more effective. Eat the foods your body is designed to process, and health emerges naturally. But all this physical health and nutritional excellence exists within a framework that modern humans have largely lost. Genuine community that functions as mutual insurance, emotional support, and meaningful connection. This social dimension of Paleolithic life might be the most important factor in their superior quality of life, the element that ties together all other advantages into coherent whole. The physical health means more when enjoyed in good company. The abundant free time means more when spent with people you care about. The security of survival means more when it's shared security. The Paleolithic social structure wasn't just pleasant. It was essential, functional, health-promoting in ways modern isolation fundamentally isn't. The dependence that binds band members creates security unavailable in modern independent life. Modern culture celebrates independence as highest value. The successful person needs no one, handles everything alone, stands self-sufficient. But humans didn't evolve for independence. They evolved for interdependence, for group survival, where individual weaknesses are covered by others' strengths. Paleolithic bands operate on open mutual dependence. Everyone knows they need others. Everyone knows others need them. This creates bilateral security. You help others, knowing they'll help you when roles reverse. The hunter shares meat today, secure that others will share with him when his hunt fails tomorrow. The gatherer shares knowledge, knowing others will assist when she's injured or ill. The dependence isn't weakness, it's insurance, spreading risk across the group so no individual ever faces ruin alone. This creates psychological security that modern independence paradoxically destroys. The modern independent person faces all risks alone. Job loss means potential destitution. Illness means isolation. Injury means vulnerability. Aging means progressive helplessness. The independence that seemed empowering becomes terrifying when circumstances change. No safety net exists except impersonal institutions that provide minimal assistance grudgingly. The Paleolithic dependent person faces risks with community backing. Injury means others provide food and care until healing. Aging means gradual role shifts while remaining embedded in community that values elder knowledge. The dependence creates security that independence can't provide. The reciprocity operates through generalized exchange rather than specific accounting. Modern exchange is specific. I give you this. You owe me equivalent value in return. We track debts carefully. This creates transactional relationships. constant calculation of who owes whom, anxiety about imbalanced exchanges. Paleolithic exchange is generalized. I give to the group gives to me. No specific debts tracked because everyone gives and receives continually. The successful hunter shares meat with everyone, not just with people who've recently shared with him. He knows that when he needs help, someone will provide, not because they owe him specifically, but because that's how the system works. This eliminates the anxiety and resentment of specific debt tracking while creating stronger social bonds. Everyone is invested in everyone's success because success gets shared while failure gets supported. This social support functions as the original Social Security, disability insurance, unemployment benefits, and retirement plan, all rolled into a natural system that requires no bureaucracy, no taxation, no complex administration. When you're injured and can't hunt, others hunt for you. When you're elderly and slow, others accommodate your pace and value your knowledge. When your children are young and demanding, others help care for them. When circumstances make you temporarily unproductive, the group carries you because your past contributions earned that support and your future contributions will reciprocate. The system is simple, effective, comprehensive. It provides security that modern welfare states attempt to recreate imperfectly through complex institutional mechanisms that often fail the most vulnerable. The emotional support embedded in constant proximity prevents the mental health crisis that defines modern life. Modern humans often suffer alone, hiding struggles, maintaining appearances, fearing judgment. Depression, isolation feeds itself. You're depressed, so you isolate. Isolation deepens depression. Anxiety about being burdened prevents seeking help, ensuring struggles continue unaddressed. The modern mental health crisis reflects partly biochemistry, but largely reflects social isolation. Humans weren't designed to handle emotional difficulties alone. Paleolithic humans never faced struggles alone because aloneness doesn't exist. Emotional difficulties are visible to the group. The depressed person's withdrawal gets noticed. The anxious person's fear gets observed. Others respond with presence, with reassurance, with practical support. You don't need to ask for help. Help comes automatically because people see you need it and care about your well-being. The support isn't professional therapy, it's human presence, which often works better than professional intervention for normal human emotional responses to difficult circumstances. The constant presence prevents catastrophic loneliness that kills modern humans. Studies show loneliness affects mortality as severely as smoking, increases disease risk dramatically, accelerates cognitive decline, promotes depression and anxiety. The isolated brain deteriorates faster than the connected brain. The isolated body succumbs to disease more readily than the supported body. Modern loneliness is epidemic, affecting tens of millions despite technology that enables constant connection. The connections are shallow, leaving fundamental need for genuine presence unmet. Paleolithic humans are never lonely. The band surrounds you constantly. You're never more than a few yards from multiple people who know you, care about you, depend on you, value you. The presence isn't always pleasant. Sometimes people annoy you, conflict arises, you crave solitude, but the baseline is connection, not isolation. The solitude, when you seek it, feels refreshing because it's chosen, temporary, optional. Modern loneliness is unchosen, chronic, inescapable for many, creating suffering that ancient humans simply didn't experience. The security of being known completely creates acceptance impossible in modern anonymous life. Modern humans present curated versions of themselves to different audiences. Work self differs from family self, differs from friend self, differs from online self. The fragmentation is exhausting. No one knows you completely. Everyone knows manufactured versions. The real self remains hidden, potentially unacceptable, anxiously managed. Paleolithic humans are known completely because the same people see you in all contexts. They know your strengths and weaknesses, skills and limitations, good days and bad days, successes and failures. The complete knowledge breeds acceptance. Everyone knows everyone is flawed. No one maintains perfect facade. The acceptance comes from authentic knowledge rather than from incomplete information. You're valued despite flaws, or perhaps partly because of them. Because the flaws make you human, real, part of imperfect community of other imperfect humans trying to survive together. This authentic acceptance promotes mental health in ways modern superficial acceptance can't. Modern acceptance is often conditional on performance, appearance, status. Mess up at work, lose acceptance from colleagues. Gain weight, lose acceptance from appearance-focused culture. Drop in status, lose acceptance from status-conscious circles. The conditional acceptance creates anxiety about maintaining whatever earned acceptance. Paleolithic acceptance is based on membership and contribution over time. You're accepted because you're part of the band, because you contribute what you can, because you've been present through years of shared experience. Short-term failures don't revoke acceptance. Everyone has bad hunts, difficult days, moments of poor judgment. The acceptance persists through variations because it's based on relationship, not performance. This social foundation supports not just emotional health but physical health through mechanisms modern medicine is only beginning to understand. Social connection affects inflammation levels, immune function, stress hormones, cardiovascular health, probably through multiple pathways. Connected people show lower inflammatory markers, suggesting the body physically benefits from social bonds. Isolated people show chronic activation of stress systems, suggesting loneliness creates physiological burden independent of psychological effects. The Paleolithic constant connection creates conditions where the body can rest in social safety, reducing inflammatory and stress loads, allowing better immune function and disease resistance. Modern isolation creates conditions where the body never fully rests, maintaining defensive postures against social threat, chronically elevating stress systems, promoting disease through multiple mechanisms. The children raised in this supportive environment develop differently than isolated modern children. Secure attachment forms easily when multiple caregivers provide consistent care. Anxiety reduces when presence is reliable and support is certain. Confidence develops when exploration is encouraged but safety is assured. Social skills emerge naturally from constant interaction with diverse ages and personalities. Emotional regulation gets modeled by multiple adults, learned through observation and guidance. Modern children often develop insecure attachment when parents are stressed and inconsistent, anxiety when support is uncertain, limited social skills when interaction is restricted to same-age peers. The difference isn't individual parenting quality, but structural support. Paleolithic parents are less stressed because support is abundant, more consistent because backup exists, more patient because they get breaks. Children receive better care not because individual parents are superior, but because the community provides conditions where good care happens naturally. This creates adults with different baseline psychology than modern isolation-raised adults. The Paleolithic adult carries secure attachment patterns forward, expecting relationships to be reliable, trusting others relatively easily while maintaining appropriate caution, comfortable with interdependence rather than anxiously pursuing independence or anxiously avoiding connection. Modern adults often carry insecure patterns forward, expecting relationships to disappoint, struggling to trust. oscillating between desperate connection-seeking and defensive isolation. The patterns aren't individual pathology, but natural responses to different early environments. The securely attached Paleolithic adult isn't psychologically superior through individual merit, but developed in conditions that promote secure attachment. The modern anxiously attached adult isn't inferior, but developed in conditions that undermine security. This social foundation creates resilience that modern individuals often lack. Paleolithic humans face tragedies. Children die, accidents happen, predators kill, illnesses take loved ones. The grief is real and deep. But the grieving happens in community that shares loss, provides comfort, maintains structure when bereaved individuals can't function. The community absorbs impact, prevents total collapse, enables eventual recovery. Modern individuals often face tragedy alone or with minimal support. The loss devastates completely because no structure exists to hold the grieving person. They must function despite grief because bills must be paid, work must continue, responsibilities persist. The isolation compounds grief, sometimes creating lasting trauma from losses that community support would make bearable. The purpose embedded in community contribution prevents existential crisis that plagues modern humans. Modern existential questions. What's the meaning of life? Why am I here? What should I do with my time? These questions arise when purpose isn't obvious. Paleolithic humans face no such crisis. The purpose is clear. Contribute to the band, help the group survive, pass knowledge and skills to next generation. The meaning is obvious. You're part of continuing story, link in chain extending backward to ancestors and forward to descendants. What to do with time is evident. Meet survival needs efficiently, then enjoy leisure with people you care about. The questions that trouble modern philosophers are answered automatically through life embedded in functioning community with clear requirements and obvious satisfactions. This purpose creates satisfaction that achievement and accumulation can't replicate. Modern humans often feel empty despite success. The promotion, the purchase, the accomplishment brings temporary pleasure, but no lasting satisfaction. They achieved what they thought they wanted, but the wanting continues, shifted to new targets. The dissatisfaction persists because the achievements are often arbitrary, disconnected from genuine human needs. Paleolithic satisfaction comes from meeting real needs with visible results. The successful hunt provides genuine satisfaction because it solves real problem. People were hungry, now they eat. The satisfaction is proportional to actual benefit delivered, creating genuine fulfillment. The pleasure comes from contribution, from competence, from being needed and providing what's needed. This creates lasting satisfaction because it meets deep psychological needs that achievement and accumulation often don't touch. The Paleolithic life, understood completely, represents human nature fulfilled rather than frustrated. Modern life frustrates fundamental needs. For movement, the body sits. For nutrition, the diet provides empty calories. For community, life offers isolation. For purpose, work provides abstraction. For security, independence leaves vulnerability. The mismatches create suffering that seems intrinsic to human condition, but actually reflects specific conditions modern life creates. Paleolithic life aligns with fundamental needs. The body moves as designed. The diet nourishes completely. Community provides connection and security. Purpose emerges from contribution. Interdependence creates safety. The alignment creates health and satisfaction automatically, not through effort, but through structure that supports human flourishing. This doesn't mean Paleolithic life was perfect or easy. Real hardships existed. Infant mortality was high, perhaps 1 in 3 children dying before age 5. Injuries could be fatal without medical care. A broken leg might mean death if infection developed. Childbirth carried serious risks. Predators posed genuine dangers. Weather could kill. Food scarcity periods brought real hunger. The dangers were real and frequent, but those dangers were acute, external, sometimes avoidable. Modern dangers are often chronic, internal, seemingly unavoidable. The slow disease processes that kill despite medical care, the grinding stress that persists despite comfortable circumstances, the isolation that hurts despite being surrounded by millions. The trade-off deserves honest examination. Paleolithic humans faced shorter average lifespans but higher quality life for those who survived childhood. Modern humans achieve longer lifespans but often spend final decades managing chronic disease. Is 80 years with the last 30 spent in declining health better than 60 healthy years followed by quick death? The answer isn't obvious. Different people might answer differently. But the question itself reveals that longer isn't automatically better. Quality competes with quantity. Health competes with longevity. Paleolithic life optimized for quality over quantity. Modern life extends quantity, sometimes at expense of quality. Neither approach is obviously superior. They represent different trade-offs with different costs and benefits. Understanding these trade-offs matters because it reveals what humans actually need versus what modern life provides. The Paleolithic case study shows that humans can thrive with minimal material possessions if social bonds are strong, if work is purposeful and brief, if diet is appropriate, if movement is constant, if environment is engaging. Modern life provides abundance of possessions, but often fails to provide strong social bonds, purposeful work, appropriate diet, adequate movement, engaging environment. The result: material wealth combined with poor health, loneliness, meaninglessness, chronic disease. The Paleolithic pattern suggests focusing on what actually matters: quality of food over quantity, depth of relationships over breadth of contacts, purposeful contribution over abstract achievement, physical capability over material accumulation. This knowledge can't return us to Paleolithic conditions. Too many humans exist to live as small nomadic bands. The knowledge has been lost. The ecosystems have changed. The path backward is closed permanently. But the knowledge of what humans need can inform how we move forward. What if modern work shifted toward shorter hours and more meaningful contribution? What if communities formed around genuine interdependence rather than independent isolation? What if food systems prioritized nutrition over profit? What if built environments promoted movement rather than sedentism? What if technology supported connection rather than replacing it? These questions emerge from understanding what worked well for humans historically and asking whether modern conditions could incorporate those successful elements. The Paleolithic human walks with you still, in your DNA, in your basic needs, in your body's design, in your mind's structure. You are them, adapted for their conditions, sometimes struggling in different conditions. Understanding them is understanding yourself at deeper level. They can't tell you how to live in modernity, but they can tell you what your body needs, what your mind craves, what your spirit requires. They reveal baseline human needs that modern life sometimes meets, but often ignores or contradicts. The stress patterns they experienced versus what modern life creates illuminate why so many people feel anxious despite comfortable circumstances. Paleolithic stress was intense but brief. The lion appears, terror spikes, adrenaline floods, muscles engage. You run or fight or freeze, then it's over. The situation resolves within minutes. You escaped or you didn't. Either way, the acute threat concludes. The body's stress response evolved for exactly this pattern: intense activation followed by resolution and recovery. The system works beautifully when used as designed. Heart rate spikes, blood pressure rises, glucose floods the bloodstream for energy, attention narrows to the threat, the body mobilizes completely. Then the threat passes, heart rate drops, blood pressure normalizes, glucose gets stored, attention broadens again, the body recovers. The cycle completes. The stress response turns on, does its job, turns off. Modern stress rarely follows this clean pattern. Instead, chronic low-level stress persists without resolution. Job security worries that continue for months or years, financial pressures that never fully resolve, relationship tensions that simmer indefinitely, social anxieties that color every interaction, health concerns that create constant background worry, traffic that elevates stress hormones daily, news that triggers fear responses continually, email that demands attention at all hours. The stressors are psychological rather than physical, ongoing rather than acute, often without clear resolution points. The body responds as if to threats, activating stress systems, but the activation never leads to action and resolution. You can't fight or flee from job insecurity. You can't physically escape financial pressure. The stress response activates inappropriately, stays activated chronically, never completes its natural cycle. The physiological consequences are severe and cumulative. Chronic stress keeps cortisol levels elevated continuously. Elevated cortisol damages the hippocampus, affecting memory. It suppresses immune function, increasing infection susceptibility. It promotes abdominal fat storage, contributing to metabolic syndrome. It increases blood pressure, damaging blood vessels. It disrupts sleep, preventing recovery. It affects mood, promoting anxiety and depression. The damage accumulates over years and decades, creating what researchers call allostatic load, the cumulative wear and tear from chronic stress. High allostatic load predicts disease, cognitive decline, mortality. It's measurable through biomarkers, inflammatory markers, stress hormones, blood pressure, glucose regulation, cardiovascular function. Modern humans often show high allostatic load even in comfortable circumstances because the stress pattern is wrong for human biology. Paleolithic humans experience higher peak stress but lower total stress burden because recovery happens between episodes. The hunt begins. Stress activates. The pursuit happens. The hunt concludes. Recovery begins. The conflict arises. Emotions peak. The confrontation occurs. Resolution comes, or acceptance happens. The system calms. The danger appears. Fear spikes. The response executes. Safety returns. Relaxation follows. The pattern matches how the system evolved to function. Between acute episodes, the body exists in genuine rest. The nervous system returns to parasympathetic dominance. The stress hormones normalize. The inflammatory markers stay low. The recovery between stressors prevents cumulative damage. The allostatic load stays manageable because the system gets used correctly. Activated when needed, rested when safe. The difference in how rest feels reflects this different stress pattern. Modern humans struggle to rest completely even during vacation or leisure time. The mind keeps processing, planning, worrying. There's always something pending, something unresolved, something that might require attention soon. The background anxiety persists even during deliberate rest attempts. The body never fully shifts to parasympathetic dominance because the stress never fully resolves. Paleolithic humans, when the day's tasks are complete, rest completely. There's nothing pending that thinking can resolve. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges, but those challenges aren't knowable or controllable now. The work is finished, the evening is free, the mind can stop working, the body can shift fully to rest and digest mode. The parasympathetic nervous system takes over completely. Digestion improves, heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, muscles relax, sleep comes easily. The rest is genuine because safety is genuine and unfinished business doesn't exist. This capacity for complete rest creates recovery that modern partial rest can't match. Modern humans often wake tired despite sleeping, feeling they never truly rested. Paleolithic humans wake refreshed because the rest was complete. The nervous system cycled fully through recovery. The body repaired efficiently. The mind processed and released rather than churning indefinitely. The morning brings energy because the night brought genuine rest. This pattern of complete recovery maintains resilience that chronic partial stress depletes. You can handle acute challenges when recovery is complete. You can't sustain chronic challenges without adequate recovery. Modern life provides inadequate recovery while demanding sustained performance, creating conditions where burnout becomes nearly inevitable. The sleep itself happens in patterns that support health rather than fragmenting it. Modern sleep is often disrupted by artificial light, blue light from screens, irregular schedules, caffeine, alcohol, ambient noise, temperature control that prevents natural cool down, isolation that triggers ancient vigilance systems. The sleep that does occur often lacks the deep restorative stages because stress and stimulation prevent the nervous system from down-regulating sufficiently. People sleep 7 or 8 hours but wake unrefreshed because the sleep quality was poor. Paleolithic sleep happens in optimal conditions: darkness that allows natural melatonin production, temperature that cools naturally with night, safety from communal proximity, physical tiredness from daily movement, metabolic stability from appropriate diet, low inflammation from healthy lifestyle. The sleep comes naturally, progresses through all necessary stages, restores completely. The distinction isn't duration but quality. 7 hours of Paleolithic sleep restores more completely than 9 hours of disrupted modern sleep. The circadian rhythm itself functions properly under Paleolithic conditions. The body's internal clock synchronizes with solar cycles when artificial light doesn't disrupt it. You wake with dawn because light signals the brain that day has begun. You grow tired after dark because darkness signals night. The hormone patterns follow natural cycles. Cortisol rises in morning, providing wake-up energy. Melatonin rises at night, promoting sleep. Growth hormone releases during deep sleep, facilitating repair. Modern life disrupts all these patterns. Artificial light tells the brain it's still day even at midnight. Screens emit blue light that suppresses melatonin. People force themselves awake before dawn with alarms. They stay awake late despite natural tiredness. The circadian rhythm becomes confused, hormone patterns distort, sleep quality degrades, daytime energy falters. The disruption contributes to metabolic dysfunction, mood disorders, cognitive decline, immune suppression. Simply living in sync with natural light-dark cycles, as Paleolithic humans did automatically, prevents much of this disruption and supports health through proper biological timing. The natural environment provides sensory richness that artificial environments lack, creating engagement and awareness that modern sensory deprivation eliminates. Modern environments are designed for convenience and efficiency, often becoming monotonous and understimulating. The office, uniform lighting, climate control, flat surfaces, minimal variation. The commute, inside car or train, isolated from weather, moving through landscape without engaging it. The home, temperature controlled, sound dampened, visually static. The stimulation that exists is often artificial and overwhelming. Screens providing intense visual stimulation, constant noise, information overload. while natural sensory input is minimized. The result? Sensory systems that operate at reduced capacity because they're not challenged appropriately, combined with overstimulation from artificial sources that exhausts without nourishing. Paleolithic environment provides constant appropriate sensory input. Every moment walking through landscape provides visual complexity, changing light, varied terrain, moving plants, distant horizons, close detail. The eyes work fully, scanning constantly, noting changes, maintaining visual acuity through use. The ears receive natural soundscape, wind, water, birds, insects, animal calls, silence, that provides information without overwhelming. The sounds are meaningful rather than noise, directing attention to relevant events, creating acoustic awareness of surroundings. The nose receives varied scents: earth, plants, water, weather changes, animal presence, that provide information the conscious mind might not process, but the unconscious tracks. The skin feels temperature variation, humidity changes, air movement, sun warmth, providing constant environmental feedback. The entire sensory system stays active and sharp through continuous appropriate use. This sensory richness creates present moment awareness that modern distraction prevents. Modern humans often move through environment without truly perceiving it. Minds occupied with thoughts about past or future. Attention captured by devices, awareness minimal. The disconnect from present sensory experience contributes to anxiety and dissatisfaction. The mind churns without anchor in present reality. Paleolithic humans exist in present moment because survival requires it and environment promotes it. Tracking requires complete attention to subtle visual cues. Gathering requires focus on plants at hand. Navigation requires awareness of landmarks and direction. The environment rewards attention and punishes distraction, creating natural mindfulness without meditation practice. You're present because presence is necessary and engaging. The sensory richness makes present moment interesting rather than boring. There's always something to notice, something changing, something worth attending to. This environmental engagement creates contentment that entertainment consumption can't replicate. Modern humans often feel bored despite endless entertainment options, needing constant novel stimulation to maintain interest. The boredom reflects understimulation of sensory and cognitive systems designed for rich natural environment. The entertainment provides intense but narrow stimulation that exhausts specific channels while leaving others unstimulated. Paleolithic humans rarely experience the modern form of boredom. The environment provides endless subtle variation. The social interaction provides unpredictable engagement. The work provides purposeful activity. The rest provides genuine relaxation. The satisfaction comes from appropriate stimulation rather than from intense artificial stimulation. The contentment is sustainable because it matches human design rather than overwhelming it. The movement through landscape creates spatial awareness and navigational skill that modern GPS dependence eliminates. Modern humans outsource navigation to devices, never developing or maintaining natural navigation abilities. They don't know which direction they're facing, can't estimate distances accurately, don't maintain mental maps of territory. The spatial cognitive systems atrophy from disuse. Paleolithic humans develop sophisticated spatial awareness through constant navigation. They maintain detailed mental maps of territory, know landmarks and relationships between them, estimate distances and directions accurately, navigate confidently through varied terrain. The hippocampus, brain region handling spatial memory, stays robust through constant use. Modern research shows London taxi drivers develop larger hippocampi through navigation demands. Paleolithic humans likely maintained similar development throughout life through constant wayfinding demands. The environmental knowledge extends beyond navigation to deep ecological understanding. Paleolithic humans know their territory intimately. Every water source, every productive gathering location, every seasonal change, every animal pattern, every weather indicator. The knowledge is practical and detailed, built through years of observation and experience, validated constantly through use. Modern humans often lack basic ecological knowledge about their local environment. They don't know which plants are native, which animals live nearby, where water comes from, how weather patterns work. The disconnect from local ecology creates vulnerability and contributes to environmental destruction. You can't value what you don't know. You can't protect what you don't understand. Paleolithic humans value and protect their environment because they know it intimately and depend on it directly. The knowledge creates care. The dependence creates respect. This brings us to a crucial aspect often overlooked: the Paleolithic relationship with time itself. Modern time is artificial, quantified, divided into arbitrary units: hours, minutes, seconds, all abstractions divorced from natural cycles. You must be somewhere at 8:47 a.m. Your meeting starts at 2:15 p.m. Your deadline is Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. The precision is artificial. The units are meaningless in natural terms. Noon doesn't mean sun overhead. It means 12 on the clock, which might occur when sun is high or low depending on time zone and season. Modern humans live by clock time, which often conflicts with body time, creating chronic desynchronization between artificial schedules and natural rhythms. Paleolithic time follows natural rhythms. Day and night, obviously, the primary cycle that structures activity, but also seasons, lunar cycles, animal migrations, plant growth cycles. Time is qualitative rather than quantitative. It's not 3 hours until sunset. It's sun is lowering, shadows lengthening, air cooling, day activity should conclude soon. The assessment is continuous rather than discrete, felt rather than calculated, integrated with actual conditions rather than abstracted into numbers. You don't work for 8 hours. You work until the task completes, or light fails, or exhaustion requires rest. The duration emerges from actual needs and conditions rather than from arbitrary predetermined limits. This creates different relationship with time itself. Modern humans often feel time scarcity, never enough time, always rushing, perpetually behind schedule. The feeling persists even when schedule is light, because clock time creates pressure independent of actual demands. The arbitrary deadlines create urgency, whether or not urgency is real. Paleolithic humans experience time abundance. Work takes what it takes. Rest lasts until you're rested. Travel continues until you arrive. The pace matches actual requirements rather than artificial schedules. There's no sense of running out of time because time isn't quantified resource to be managed. It's simply the medium in which life unfolds, never scarce because it's never measured. The freedom from time pressure creates peace that scheduling destroys. Modern humans feel constantly rushed even during leisure because clock awareness persists. You're wasting time if you're not productive. You're behind schedule if tasks take longer than estimated. You're running late if travel encounters delays. The language reveals the pressure. Paleolithic humans never waste time because time isn't resource to waste. They're never late because precise timing doesn't exist. They're never behind schedule because schedules don't exist. The activity is sufficient unto itself, valuable for its own sake, rather than for fitting into time slots. This creates profound freedom to be present with whatever is happening, rather than anxious about what should be happening according to schedule. The seasonal time awareness creates patience that modern immediacy destroys. Modern humans expect instant results, immediate gratification, quick solutions. The expectation creates frustration when reality doesn't cooperate. Paleolithic humans understand that natural processes take time that can't be rushed. Seeds don't germinate faster because you want them to. Animals don't migrate sooner because you're hungry. Seasons don't change according to convenience. The patience comes from understanding natural timing, accepting that your wants don't control when things happen. This patience extends to personal processes. Healing takes time. Learning takes time. Growth takes time. The acceptance prevents the frustration that comes from expecting processes to accelerate according to desire. The integration of human activity with natural cycles creates harmony that modern separation disrupts. Modern humans work against nature often, staying awake when the body wants to sleep, eating when not hungry or not eating when hungry, sitting when the body wants to move, forcing concentration when the mind wants to rest. The constant override of natural signals creates internal conflict and energy waste. Paleolithic humans work with natural cycles: sleep when tired, eat when hungry, move when energized, rest when depleted, work when conditions favor work, shelter when conditions prevent activity. The alignment eliminates internal conflict, conserves energy, supports health through cooperation with body's signals rather than constant override of them. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect: the Paleolithic sense of belonging within the natural world rather than separate from or superior to it. Modern humans often see themselves as separate from nature, controlling it, transcending it through technology. The separation creates alienation and contributes to environmental destruction. You can destroy what you feel separate from. Paleolithic humans understand themselves as part of nature, embedded within it, dependent on it, subject to its patterns. The understanding creates humility and respect. You don't control the weather, the seasons, the animal migrations. You understand and work within natural patterns rather than trying to override them. This embedded identity creates security paradoxically through accepting lack of control. Modern humans seek security through control, controlling environment, controlling schedules, controlling outcomes. The attempt often fails because much of reality isn't controllable, creating anxiety when control proves impossible. Paleolithic humans find security through understanding and adaptation rather than through control. You can't control whether the hunt succeeds, but you can understand animal behavior well enough to maximize success probability. You can't control weather, but you can read signs well enough to prepare appropriately. You can't control everything, but you can handle most of what happens through skill and flexibility. The security comes from competence and community rather than from control. The spiritual dimension of this embedded existence deserves acknowledgement even for secular modern readers. Paleolithic life includes spiritual understanding that modern secular rationalism dismisses, but that might provide something essential. Not religion in institutional sense with specific doctrines and hierarchies, but spirituality as direct experience of meaning and connection beyond pure materialism. Living intimately with nature creates encounters with power and mystery that inspire awe. The storm that tears through camp with destructive force. The birth that brings new life through intense process. The death that takes valued band member despite all efforts. The abundance that appears unexpectedly when needed most. The migration that returns precisely when expected. These experiences create sense of participating in something larger than individual human concerns. This larger sense provides comfort and perspective that pure materialism often can't supply. Modern secular life sometimes feels empty despite abundance, because meaning is self-generated rather than discovered. You must create your own purpose, Define your own values. Invent your own significance. The burden can be crushing. What if you choose wrong? What if your invented meaning isn't actually meaningful? Paleolithic spirituality finds meaning in participation rather than invention. You're part of ongoing story, connected to ancestors who came before and descendants who will follow, embedded in living world that existed before you and will continue after you. Your significance comes from contributing to continuation rather than from individual achievement. The perspective reduces existential anxiety by providing framework larger than individual life. The natural world provides teachers and guides for those open to learning. The animals demonstrate behaviors worth emulating. The wolf's pack loyalty, the bear's fierce maternal protection, the eagle's far-seeing vision, the snake's ability to shed old skin and renew. The plants demonstrate adaptation and resilience. The landscape demonstrates patience and permanence. The seasons demonstrate cycles of growth and rest, abundance and scarcity, death and rebirth. Modern humans often ignore these teachings, seeing nature as background or resource rather than as teacher. Paleolithic humans learn continuously from natural world, finding wisdom in observation, guidance in patterns, meaning in relationships with other species and with landscape itself. This doesn't mean romanticizing nature or pretending it's benevolent. Nature is often harsh, indifferent, dangerous. Animals kill each other, weather destroys, disease spreads, resources fail. The natural world isn't gentle or fair, but it's real, honest, and coherent in ways that artificial modern environments sometimes aren't. The harshness teaches that life includes suffering, that death is inevitable, that safety is never guaranteed. These truths are painful, but accepting them creates resilience. Modern life often pretends suffering shouldn't exist. Death can be indefinitely postponed. Safety can be guaranteed. The pretense creates fragility, because when reality intrudes, as it always does, the psychological impact is devastating. Paleolithic acceptance of natural reality creates resilience through honest preparation rather than through false promises of complete safety and control. The relationship with death itself differs fundamentally. Modern death is hidden, medicalized, denied as long as possible, treated as failure rather than as natural conclusion. The dying are removed from community, placed in hospitals or hospices, separated from normal life. Death becomes something that happens elsewhere to other people, preferably far away and not discussed. The denial creates terror. If death is abnormal failure, then dying means failing. Modern humans fear death intensely, fight it desperately, treat it as the ultimate enemy to be defeated through medicine. The fear colors entire life, creating background anxiety about eventual mortality. Paleolithic death is visible, integrated, accepted as part of life's pattern. Infant mortality means many parents lose children, a tragedy but not rare or hidden. Injuries and illnesses kill young adults sometimes, losses mourned but not denied or medicalized. Elders die when their time comes, their death witnessed by community, their bodies handled by family rather than by strangers. Death isn't comfortable or welcome, but it's familiar. Everyone has seen death, experienced loss of loved ones, understands that mortality is universal. This familiarity doesn't eliminate grief, but removes some terror. Death is what happens. You can't prevent it ultimately. You can only live well until it comes. This acceptance creates different priorities. Modern humans often sacrifice present for future security that may never arrive. They defer living, postpone joy, accept present unhappiness for promised future happiness. The trade-off often fails. Retirement arrives with health too poor to enjoy saved money, or death comes before deferred living begins. The years spent preparing were the life, and it was spent in preparation mode rather than in living mode. Paleolithic humans live in present because present is what exists. Tomorrow might not come. Injury, illness, accident could intervene. So today matters. The evening by fire is now. The time with children is now. The laughter with friends is now. The satisfaction of work completed is now. If death comes tomorrow, today was lived fully. This isn't short-term thinking or recklessness. It's recognition that life is the accumulation of days, and each day matters as it unfolds. The relationship with possessions reflects this present orientation. Modern humans accumulate possessions far beyond use, often storing things just in case or collecting things that might someday have value. The accumulation creates burden, stuff to maintain, store, protect, organize, eventually dispose of. The possessions become weights rather than tools. Paleolithic humans own almost nothing by modern standards. What you can carry is what you have. Mobility requires minimalism. This constraint forces clarity. Keep only what's genuinely useful, what serves clear current purpose, what's worth the burden of transport. The knife you use daily is valuable. The beautiful stone that serves no function isn't worth carrying. The hide that keeps you warm is essential. The extra hide that might someday be useful isn't worth the weight. Every possession must justify itself through actual use. This creates freedom through minimalism. No maintenance burden, no storage problems, no anxiety about protecting accumulated wealth, no attachment to place through possessions. You can move whenever necessary because you're not weighted down by belongings. The freedom is literal and psychological. You're not trapped by your stuff. You can follow opportunities, leave problems, relocate when conditions change. The flexibility creates resilience unavailable to people trapped by accumulated possessions, requiring fixed location to house and protect them. The wealth isn't in things, but in knowledge, skills, relationships. These portable assets travel effortlessly, provide value everywhere, can't be stolen or lost through accident. The knife you're carrying might break or get lost, but you know how to make another one from materials available in any landscape. The hide you're wearing might tear or wear out, but you know how to process replacement from next successful hunt. The specific objects are temporary, replaceable, ultimately unimportant. The knowledge and relationships are permanent, irreplaceable, fundamentally important. This inverts modern values completely. Modern humans prioritize possessions over knowledge, owning over knowing, having over being. Then they wonder why possessions bring temporary pleasure but no lasting satisfaction. The satisfaction comes from what you can do, who you are, how you relate, none of which requires owning much. The Paleolithic approach to equality reinforces these values and creates social harmony that hierarchy disrupts. Modern societies stratify by wealth, status, power. The rich control more resources, live more comfortably, exercise more influence. The poor struggle with less, face harder lives, have minimal voice. The gap creates resentment, conflict, systemic unfairness. Those born into wealth inherit advantages. Those born into poverty inherit disadvantages. The system perpetuates itself across generations, creating permanent classes with different opportunities and outcomes. Paleolithic bands operate on functional equality. There are no rich or poor because wealth accumulation is impossible. Resources get shared through reciprocity system that ensures everyone's survival. Today's successful hunter might be tomorrow's unsuccessful hunter. Today's provider might be tomorrow's receiver. The roles rotate based on circumstance and chance rather than becoming fixed statuses. Status comes from skill and wisdom rather than from resource control. The best hunter is respected for hunting ability, but that respect doesn't translate into power over others or control of shared resources. Everyone eats from successful hunts, regardless of who killed the animal. Everyone benefits from shared knowledge, regardless of who originally acquired it. The system is egalitarian not through conscious ideology but through structural necessity. Hoarding is pointless in mobile lifestyle. Domination is impossible when people can simply leave and join other bands. This equality is enforced through multiple mechanisms. The mobility prevents accumulation and enables exit from bad situations. The sharing norms prevent resource monopolization. The lack of storable surplus prevents wealth concentration. The consensus decision-making prevents power concentration. The result is remarkably flat social structure where no one dominates and everyone matters. Modern egalitarian movements try to create through law and policy what Paleolithic lifestyle created automatically through structure. The lesson: equality emerges naturally from conditions that prevent inequality, not from trying to enforce equality despite conditions that promote hierarchy. The psychological impact of genuine equality is profound. No one experiences shame of poverty because poverty doesn't exist as distinct condition. No one feels pressure to maintain status because status isn't based on possessions or positions. No one feels lesser than others because comparison categories don't apply in meaningful ways. You're not richer or poorer, higher or lower, better or worse in systematic ways. You're simply a band member, valued for your contributions, supported when you struggle, connected through bonds of mutual dependence. The psychological freedom this creates, from status anxiety, from class shame, from comparative judgment, allows energy to flow toward living rather than toward maintaining position in hierarchy. Children growing up in egalitarian band develop different psychology than children raised in hierarchical society. No internalized sense that some people are inherently worth more than others. No anxiety about where you rank. No shame about class or status. Instead, understanding that everyone matters. Everyone contributes differently. Everyone deserves respect and support. This foundation creates adults with secure self-worth, independent of external validation or comparative status. You know you have value because the band's survival depends on everyone's participation, including yours. Your worth is inherent in your humanity and membership, not something to prove through achievement or accumulate through acquisition. This secure identity creates resilience. Modern humans often collapse when status is threatened. Job loss, financial reversal, social rejection. The collapse happens because identity was invested in external factors. Remove the job, money, status, and what remains? Paleolithic identity is internal and relational, rather than based on external factors. Your identity is hunter, gatherer, parent, band member, person with specific skills and knowledge. These identities persist regardless of daily successes or failures. One unsuccessful hunt doesn't unmake you as hunter. One difficult day doesn't unmake you as valuable band member. The identity is stable because it's based on who you are rather than what you achieve or possess. This stability allows genuine confidence rather than defensive self-promotion. Modern humans often feel pressure to promote themselves, advertise achievements, maintain image. The pressure comes from competitive environment where your value must be demonstrated continuously. Paleolithic humans don't promote themselves because the band already knows their capabilities through direct observation. The best hunter doesn't need to announce their skill. Everyone saw the successful hunts. The knowledgeable elder doesn't need to prove their wisdom. Everyone knows what they've taught and how it helped. The confidence comes from competence recognized through relationship rather than from marketing self-image to strangers who must be convinced. The relationships themselves operate on different bases than modern relationships. Modern relationships are often transactional, maintained through effort, evaluated for benefit, terminated when costs exceed benefits. The calculation is conscious or unconscious, but pervades much modern interaction. What do I get from this relationship? Is this person useful? Does this friendship serve my interests? Paleolithic relationships are existential rather than transactional. These are your people, period. Not because they're useful, but because they're your band. The relationships aren't maintained through effort. They're maintained through existence. You see these people daily, depend on them constantly, share life with them continuously. The question isn't whether relationship is worth maintaining. The relationship simply exists as fundamental fact of life. This creates loyalty and commitment that transactional relationships can't match. You don't abandon band members when they become difficult or stop being useful. You work through conflicts because these are your people and will remain your people. You support members who struggle because they'll support you when you struggle. The commitment is total not through conscious choice, but through structural reality. Where else would you go? These are your people. This is your band. The belonging is permanent, unconditional, fundamental. This unconditional belonging creates security that conditional modern belonging can't provide. Modern humans often fear abandonment. If I'm not good enough, smart enough, successful enough, attractive enough, people will leave me. The fear has foundation in reality. Modern relationships do end when they stop serving one party's interests. Jobs terminate employees who stop being useful. Friends drift away when commonalities fade. Partners leave when passion dims. The conditionality creates chronic anxiety about maintaining whatever qualities attracted people initially. Paleolithic belonging is unconditional. You belong because you're part of the band. Short-term failures or difficulties don't revoke membership. The security allows authenticity impossible when belonging is conditional on performance. This social foundation supports everything else: the physical health, the mental clarity, the emotional stability, the sense of purpose. Remove the social foundation, and even perfect diet and exercise can't create the health outcomes Paleolithic humans achieved. Modern research increasingly confirms this. Social connection predicts health outcomes as strongly as any other factor. Connected people live longer, resist disease better, recover faster, maintain cognitive function longer, report greater happiness. Isolated people die younger, succumb to disease more readily, decline cognitively faster, suffer depression and anxiety more frequently. The effect size is massive, comparable to smoking or obesity. Social isolation should be treated as major health risk factor, but modern culture continues promoting independence and self-sufficiency as ideals. The Paleolithic evidence shows what optimal human health looks like when social foundations support it. Strong bodies that maintain function through life, minds that stay sharp through old age, emotional resilience that handles challenges, purposeful days that bring satisfaction, restful nights that restore completely, connected lives that feel meaningful. This isn't speculation or idealization. It's what the skeletal evidence shows, what modern traditional populations demonstrate, what evolutionary logic predicts. Humans evolved for the conditions Paleolithic life provided. When conditions match evolutionary template, health emerges naturally. When conditions mismatch, disease emerges predictably. Understanding this doesn't mean rejecting modernity or romanticizing the past. It means recognizing what humans actually need to thrive and asking whether modern conditions provide those needs. Often they don't. We have material abundance but social isolation, medical technology but chronic disease. convenience but meaninglessness, entertainment but boredom, information but anxiety. The paradoxes suggest we've optimized for wrong metrics, maximizing GDP rather than well-being, extending lifespan rather than health span, increasing consumption rather than satisfaction. The Paleolithic case study suggests different metrics might serve better: depth of relationships over breadth of contacts, purpose of work over payment from work, quality of food over quantity available, capability of body over convenience of environment, presence in moment over plans for future, sufficiency of having enough over endless pursuit of more. These values seem obvious once stated, but modern life systematically undermines most of them. The culture promotes opposite values: superficial broad networks, high-paying jobs regardless of meaning, eating whatever is convenient, avoiding physical discomfort, planning everything, accumulating endlessly. The disconnect creates suffering that seems intrinsic to human existence, but actually reflects specific mismatches between how we're living and how we're designed to live. The suffering isn't inevitable. It's not part of human nature. It's the result of particular conditions modern life creates. Paleolithic humans faced real suffering: injury, illness, loss, hardship. But they didn't face the chronic diseases, mental health crisis, social isolation, existential emptiness that define modern experience. Their suffering was acute and often resolvable or bearable within supportive community. Modern suffering is often chronic and isolating, creating conditions where people surrounded by abundance feel empty and alone. The solution isn't returning to Paleolithic conditions, impossible even if desirable. It's learning from their success what humans actually need, then asking how modern life might provide those needs more effectively. Could work be redesigned around contribution rather than hours? Could communities form around genuine interdependence? Could food systems prioritize nutrition? Could built environments promote movement? Could technology support depth rather than breadth? Could education teach skills and wisdom rather than just information? Could healthcare focus on health rather than disease management? These aren't idle questions. They're urgent inquiries about how to create conditions where humans can thrive rather than merely survive. The knowledge that different life is possible, that humans have lived in conditions producing genuine health and satisfaction, should inspire rather than depress. It's not that modern life has failed irredeemably. It's that modern life could be so much better if designed around actual human needs rather than around efficiency, productivity, consumption. The Paleolithic example doesn't provide blueprint for modern life, but does provide North Star, evidence of what's possible when conditions align with human nature. You carry that potential still. Your body is Paleolithic body, capable of remarkable health under right conditions. Your mind is Paleolithic mind, designed for connection, purpose, presence. Your spirit, whatever that means to you, craves belonging, meaning, participation in something larger than self. Modern conditions often frustrate these needs, but they remain your deepest needs regardless. Understanding what served your ancestors can help you understand what serves you. Not just survival, but thriving. Not just living, but living well. Not just existing, but flourishing in ways that feel deeply human and deeply satisfying. The fire burns to ash now. The warmth fades, but the knowledge remains, settling into understanding. The best life humans lived was life aligned with their nature, meeting actual needs, creating conditions for health and happiness to emerge naturally. That life is gone, but the needs remain, and recognizing those needs is first step toward meeting them, however imperfectly, in this very different world. Rest now with that understanding. Tomorrow brings its own challenges and opportunities. Tonight, there's only this: the quiet recognition of what humans need and what you might create, even in modern conditions, that moves toward rather than away from those fundamental needs. The breath slows, the body settles, the mind quiets. In this moment, you're connected across time to those ancient people who lived so differently, yet were fundamentally you. Same body, same needs, same capacity for health and satisfaction under right conditions. They found their best life through alignment with nature, community, purpose, presence. Perhaps you can find yours through similar alignment, adapted to modern context. The path is different. The destination might be similar. A life that feels genuinely worth living. Health that supports rather than hinders. Connection that sustains rather than depletes. Purpose that satisfies rather than exhausts. Rest that restores rather than escapes. That's what they achieved. That's what remains possible. Rest now. The work of creating that life continues tomorrow.